It always begins with just one. You spot a single ant wander across your kitchen counter, brush it off, and don't give it a second thought. But that little guy was a scout. He just realized your kitchen is an all-you-can-eat buffet, and he's headed straight back to tell the rest of his crew. By the next morning, you've got an absolute highway of them pouring in from some invisible crack, making a beeline for your sugar bowl, stray crumbs, or that sticky spot right next to the stove. And it doesn't matter how many you wipe up, they just keep coming. It's honestly one of the most frustrating things you can deal with in a house. People drop serious cash on chemical sprays and professional exterminators trying to fight it off. Yet, somehow, the bugs always return. But here's the secret that the older generations understood, and what most folks completely miss today. This is the absolute key to actually winning this battle. Squashing, as you can see, is practically useless. The real issue isn't the handful of bugs on your counter. It's the massive nest hiding out of sight. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 traditional, time-tested ways to banish ants permanently by attacking the actual root of the problem rather than just the symptoms. Out here living the old-fashioned, homesteading way, close to the dirt and the fields, I know firsthand that ants will invade your house every single summer if you give them half a chance. My grandmother battled them year after year, and she taught me exactly how to handle it using just a little bit of patience and a few cheap supplies. Because of her, I've never once had to hire the bug guy. Before we get into those 5 methods, you need to understand the golden rule. For every ant you see, there are thousands hide underground in a massive colony ruled by an egg-laying queen. As long as that queen and her colony survive, they'll just keep deploying more troops, no matter how many you squash in your sink. So, the entire goal of everything we're about to do is either completely block them from getting inside or bypass the workers to destroy that hidden colony. Wipe out the nest, and the nightmare is over. If you only kill the ones on your counter, you'll be fighting them forever. Keep that in the back of your mind as we go through these steps. Just a quick heads up before we dive in. The traditional methods my family relies on are way too extensive to fit into just one video. I've actually put all that knowledge together into a comprehensive guide online. If you're interested in the full deep dive, it's out there, but I won't bug you about it again today. I remember my grandmother's war against these pests like it was a literal season on the calendar. Every summer, they'd creep up through a crack in the old stone foundation, marching straight for the pantry. And I distinctly remember that she never panicked, and she never reached for harsh chemicals. She'd just stand there for a minute, quietly observing their trap patterns. Then, she put out tiny dishes of a sweet borax bait along their highway and scrub every counter until it was spotless. Within a week, the invasion would slow down to a trickle and then vanish entirely. She used to tell me that you don't fight the bugs you can see. You track down the ones you can't. As a kid, that completely baffled me. But eventually, I realized it was the absolute truth. She was using the workers on the counter as a delivery service to strike the underground nest. That calm, strategic mindset is exactly what I want to pass on to you today, because it works where frantic spraying fails every time. Method 1, starve them out. The very first step, and honestly, the foundation of this entire strategy is to give them nothing to stick around for. Ants only break into your home for one reason: food. They are especially hunting for anything sweet and sticky. When that initial scout is snooping around, he's looking for a meal. If your kitchen is totally bare, he heads back home empty-handed and nobody follows him. But if he finds even a dried ring of soda on a can, a couple of stray crumbs, or a sticky smudge on the honey bear, it's game over. He reports back and the army deploys. So, your absolute best line of defense is just relentless cleanliness. You have to wipe your surfaces completely free of crumbs and sticky messes. Store your sugar and baking supplies in airtight, sealed containers. Don't leave meals sitting out on the counter. And here's a big one that people always overlook. Rinse out your empty cans and bottles before tossing them in the recycling. Even a tiny drop of leftover soda is an absolute feast for an ant, and it'll draw them straight in your trash bin. If you deny them a food source, you've already won half the battle before trying any other tricks. Ants are incredibly practical creatures. They aren't going to waste their time and energy hiking a house that doesn't feed them. This is classic old school wisdom. Keep a spotless kitchen and a lockdown pantry, and they'll have zero reason to visit. You also really need to watch out for those hidden food sources. We're talking about the crumbs hide out in the toaster tray, the grease splatters behind the stove, the drips running down the side of a syrup bottle, pet food left out overnight, or dried spills tucked away in a cabinet. Ants always find the things we ignore. So, wipe up spills the second they happen. Sweep regularly. Lock your sweets away in glass or metal that bugs can't chew through, and pick up the dog's bowl between meals. A house that offers nothing is a house they'll quickly abandon. Consistently sticking to this one habit will prevent more infestations than every chemical spray on the market combined. Method 2, the sweet borax bait. The second method is for when the invasion is already underway, and it's simply the greatest way to wipe out a colony you can't see, the Class S borax bait. I've talked about borax before. It's that cheap white mineral powder you can grab in the laundry aisle, and this is by far its best application. Since you can't follow every single ant back to its underground bunker, you're going to let them carry the poison home for you. That's the genius of it. You whip up a sweet bait laced with just a little bit of borax and set it out where they're already traveling. The workers are attracted to the sugar, gorge them on it, and carry it straight back to the nest to feed the rest of the colony, including the queen. The borax works quietly and slowly, wiping out the entire system from the inside out. This is exactly why it succeeds where squashing them fails. Here's the recipe. You thus mix 3 spoonfuls of sugar with exactly 1/10 to that ratio. 3 parts sweet to 1 part borax. The sugar is the lure, so you need a lot of it, but you only want a tiny bit of the mineral. If you make the mix too strong, it'll kill the workers before they ever make it back to the nest, defeating the whole purpose. So 3 to 1. Next, stir in just enough warm water to dissolve it into smooth syrup, roughly the consistency of pancake syrup. You can soak cotton balls in it, or pour it into shallow. Cover containers with lit entry holes punched in the sides. Then, just place them right along the bug's active highways. Now, let's talk safety, because I'm always going to shoot straight with you on that. Borax is not meant to be ingested by anyone, not kids, not pets, not adults. Even though it's a common household item, it does not belong in the body. So, when you put these bats out, they need to be completely out of reach. Put them up high, or use those in closed containers, making sure they are nowhere near toddlers, dogs, or cats who might want to taste the sugary syrup. Label them clearly if you have to. As long as you keep it away from kids and animals, this is one of the most effective and affordable tricks in the book. But please don't skip the safety precautions, and most importantly, you have to be patient. This stuff is designed to work slowly. That's the entire strategy. You want them happily coming and going, hauling the bait home for several days. If you still see a swarm of ants around the syrup the next morning, don't get frustrated. That means it's working. Give it a few days, and you'll watch the traffic slowly die off as the nest collapses from the inside. A couple of quick pro tips. Place the bait stations right on their active trails and close to wherever they're entering the house so they find it immediately. And do not wipe away their scent trails while you're baiting. You want them using those invisible roads to find the syrup and carry it back. Leave the trails alone until the war is completely won. If they totally ignore your bait, it usually means one of 2 things. Either the borax concentration is too high and they can smell it, in which case make a fresh, sweeter batch, or there's an easier food source competing with it. So clean up your kitchen better and remove any other options so your trap is the best thing on the menu. Keep in mind, different species have different cravings depending on the season. Sometimes they want sugar, and sometimes they're hunting for protein or grease. If the syrup isn't getting any bite, try mixing that single spoonful of borax into a little butter or bacon grease instead. A little trial and error, plus some patience, will get the job done. Method 3. Destroy the nest directly. The third tack is a direct assault, provided you can actually locate the nest. If you can find their home base, you can end the entire situation at the source. Usually, the colony is out in the yard or hugging the foundation, and the workers are just commuting inside through a gap in the wall. To find it, you just tail them. If you've got a solid line of bugs, follow it backward, nice and slow, until you see where they are diving in the dirt or disappearing in the siding. Boom, there's your target. If you're having trouble figuring out which direction a stray ant is heading, give it a quick spritz of vinegar. That will usually make it turn around and head for safety, and you can track it from there. Once you've located the entrance holes into soil, you have a couple of straightforward, old-school ways to wipe it out. The most gentle method is just plain water, and lots of it. Drag your garden hose over to the mound and let it run for a solid 10 minutes, completely flooding the soil to drown the mound and force the survivors to relocate. Do this every single day until the activity stops completely. It doesn't use any of your lawn, and if you're persistent, it forces the colony to collapse or pack up and leave. It's slow, but it's incredibly safe. Now, if you want to speed things up, you can use boiling water. This is an ancient, incredibly effective method, but you absolutely have to be careful here. Get a large pot of water to a rolling boil on the stove. If you want to kick it up a notch, you can toss in a heavy dose of cayenne pepper, or even vinegar if you don't have cayenne, but the extreme heat is doing the heavy lifting. Now comes the dangerous part. Carrying a massive pot of boiling water outside is risky business. Put on heavy-duty oven mitts. Have someone else open the doors for you so you can keep both hands securely on the handles. Walk slowly and steadily because a sloshing splash of boiling water will give you severe burns. Pour it directly and slowly into the entrance holes and right over any swarming bugs. It kills them instantly on contact and cooks the nest deep underground. Just keep in mind that this will instant kill any grass or garden plants it touches. 2. So aim carefully. Above all, prioritize your own safety. If done right, a pot or two of scalding water is a brutally fast and cheap way to execute a colony. Method 4. The picnic mode. The fourth technique is a brilliant, old-fashioned hack for keeping pests off your food during outdoor picnics or backyard barbecues. Let's call it the picnic moat. Ants physically can't swim across open water, so you're going to build a tiny, impassable barrier. Grab 4 shallow containers, like old tin cans, plastic tubs, or sturdy cups, and place one under each leg of your folding table. Fill each one with a couple of inches of water. Now, the only physical path up to the burgers and potato salad is straight up those table legs, and those legs are standing right in the middle of a puddle. They're stopped dead in their tracks at ground level. Your food is perfectly safe on its own little island. It's incredibly simple, uses 0 chemicals, and it has saved countless summer cookouts from a hostile taver. You can use this exact same logic to protect anything indoors that sits on legs, like a plant stand or a pet's food bowl. Setting the dog bowl inside a larger shallow dish of water guarantees their kibble stays pest-free. There are also dry barriers you can use indoors that work on a similar concept. You basically lay down a line of material that they absolutely refuse to walk across. You can draw a heavy chalk line or sprinkle a berry of cinnamon, black pepper, or that chalky white stuff known as diatomaceous earth right across their entryways or windowsills. It's not quite as foolproof as a water moat, but it will definitely detour a lot of them and is highly recommended for doorways they love to use. Erase the scent maps. The fifth and final step is the finisher. This is what stops them from returning next week after you've already won the battle, and it's all about erasing their maps. You need to understand how these insects navigate. An ant walks, it leaves down invisible chemical scent trail, like breadcrumbs, so its buddies can follow the exact same route to the jackpot. That's the reason you always see them marching in single file. They are literally just sniffing the road laid down by the guy in front of them. So, even if you successfully poison the nest and kill the queen, if you leave those invisible highways plastered all over your kitchen, any random new scout from a different nest can follow those exact same paths right back to your pantry. You have to destroy the map. Grab a spray bot and mix up a 50-50 solution of plain white vinegar and water, and add just a few drops of liquid dish soap. Spray down every single surface where you saw them walking. The baseboards, the countertops, the windowsills, the door frames, and especially the cracks where they snuck inside. This completely strips away the chemical pheromones, erasing the roads so there's nothing left for the next wave to follow. The vinegar is what actually breaks down the scent. If you just wipe an ant trail with a wet paper towel, they'll usually march right back over it an hour later because plain water doesn't destroy the pheromones. Vinegar does. Scrub deeply into crevices and trim where they first breached the wall because that's where the scent is the heaviest. Once you've scrubbed away the trails, grab some caulk and permanently seal up those entry cracks. If you do this, you haven't just killed the current invaders. You've permanently locked the door and burned the map. That's how you get long-term results, instead of repeating the same miserable chore every single July. Make sure only do this cleanup phase after you finish baiting and the colony is dead. You need them freely using those scent trails to haul the Borax away first. But once the nest is quiet, wipe the slate clean. And a quick safety warning here. That simple vinegar mix is all you need. Do not ever mix bleach in your vinegar to try and make a stronger cleaner. Mixing bleach and vinegar creates a highly toxic, dangerous gas. Just stick to the basic recipe. Let me just share a quick thought on pest control in general. I am not trying to be a conspiracy theorist here, because ants are just a normal part of nature, not some corporate plot. But there is a real lesson to take away from this. People blow an absurd amount of money on toxic aerosols that only kill the bugs standing right in front of them, or they pay massive fees for exterminators to spray the baseboards. And it's largely wasted money, because targeting the visible workers is the one strategy guaranteed to fail. You nuke the scouts on the tile, you feel like you won a victory, but the underground bunker is completely untouched, breeding thousands more. In a few weeks, they're back, and you're back at the hardware store buying another can of spray. The traditional dirt, cheap approach, letting them carry a slow poison home to eliminate the root cause, is what actually solves the issue. But it requires patience, it's not flashy, and frankly, it doesn't sell a $10 can of chemicals. So, the fast, if heavy marketed, while the slow, cheap, permanent solution gets forgotten. It's just how business works. The previous generations didn't have a guy in a branded truck to call. They secured their homes using sugar, laundry powder, hot water, and a whole lot of patience. And you can solve the exact same thing. So, there you have it. 5 time-tested strategies to banish ants permanently. 1. Starve them. Keep your kitchen immaculate, seal your pantry tight, and rinse recycling so scouts find nothing. 2. Deploy the sweet borax trap safely out of reach of kids and pets, letting the workers carry it home to poison the nest from the inside. 3. Track them back to their underground bunker and eliminate the colony with heavy flooding or extreme heat. 4. Protect your outdoor meals and pet bowls by placing table legs in shallow dishes of water to create an impassable moat. 5. totally obliterate their invisible scent maps, use of vinegar and water spray, so future generations can't find their way back inside. Follow these steps patiently, and you won't just be swatting at stragglers. You'll be curing the disease at the source, cleanly and affordably, exactly like the old teamers did. Now, I'd love to hear from you guys. Jump down in the comments and let me know what kind of ants are driving you crazy. Are you dealing with those tiny kitchen sugar ants or the massive carpenter ants? Have you ever tried the Borax method, and how did it work for you? Also, let me know what state you're watching from and how old your house is. Older homes with settling foundations are definitely more prone to letting pests compared to newer, tight builds. And I genuinely love seeing where everyone in this community is tuning in from. I read everything common. In our next video, we're going to dive into the countless traditional uses for baking soda around the homestead. It's another dirt, cheap powder sitting in almost everyone's cabinet that, just like vinegar, can tackle dozens of chores you probably never considered, from heavy-duty cleaning to odor removal, plus a few tricks that will legitimately blow your mind. The folks who came before us protected their homes and solved their problems with a handful of basic supplies, an understanding of nature, and a massive amount of patience. They knew how to bypass the visible headaches and strike at the invisible root. There is a deep, quiet wisdom in permanent fixing a problem at its source, rather than just frantically swatting at whatever gets thrown in your face. The generations who built this country understood that perfectly.